This is my audience. Hello, my name is Hunter Brabant, and today I'm going to talk about transgender children in schools and if they should be able to choose which bathroom they want to use based on what gender they identify as well as some other ideas on transgender ideology. So what do I believe? I think that transgender students should not be able to make a choice whether they use the men's or women's restroom based on what they identify as. I don't think that children still in school should even be able to make the choice if they're transgender or not. Honestly, I don't even think the idea of transgenderism should even exist in the United States, but since we are a free country and people can practice what they would like, it's not illegal to do so unless we put a law against it. I believe that if you were born a male, you should use the men's restroom no matter what you identify as, because you cannot change your gender. It's biologically incorrect. And if you're born a female, you must use the women's restroom. And also, you cannot change your gender because you have different chromosomes as male and female. If you're born a male, you have a set of XY chromosomes that you cannot alter or change. And if you're born a female, you have a set of XX chromosomes, which also cannot be changed. I think a solution to the current problem with the whole gender bathrooms in schools would be to just have a single stall, handicap accessible, where men and women can use it. There's one toilet, one sink, locked door, whatever. You kind of like a porta potty. And I think that kids that are still in grades K through 12 shouldn't be able to make that gender identity choice because they're not mature enough. I read an article on NewYorkPost.com where a young boy wanted to be a girl. He was around 7 years old. So his parents actually took him to a gender clinic and started pumping all these puberty suppressants and blockers into his system, all these surgeries. And a few years later, he was basically a girl. He had very low or very little boy traits on him still. And he ended up changing his mind and he wanted to go back to being a boy, but it was already kind of too late. And he was already as feminine as those drugs would allow. He was done with his treatment so far, and I think it was unfair to the kid because I think he was just gender confused, and they should treat that with therapy other than actually going and pumping all these drugs into his system. I think he was just gender confused. But his parents basically ruined his life because he's gonna have that as his baggage forever. Always, he was born a male, but he transferred into a female, and then they might transfer back to a male. Very expensive process, actually. And there are kids as young as 3 years old being told that they can choose what they want to identify as or what gender to be. And that's, like I said earlier, biologically incorrect. And politician Ben Shapiro was at a political debate on the subject, and a woman ends up standing up and asking him about this whole issue and about this transgender and why he doesn't support it. And he just asks her simply, well, how old are you? And she says, well, I'm 23. And he goes, well, why aren't you 60? And the woman kind of just pauses, sitting there for a little bit, doesn't know what to say. And she's like, well, it's not the same thing. And then Ben Shapiro, he snaps back with, exactly, it's not the same thing. Gender is way more important than age, and you can't change either because obviously you can't change your age, so why should you be able to change your gender? Back to choosing whichever restroom dilemma, that whole thing. I think kids can take advantage of this, or choose whichever restroom that they can use just because they identify as the opposite sex. For example, if a male student just happens to want to see what the inside of the female's bathroom looks like, he could just walk in there, go check it out, do his business, and walk out. And if he got in trouble, he could just say to the principal, well, I identify as a female, so I can use that restroom. And so I think kids can take advantage of this. And I was reading an article on debate.org, and there was a user by the name of Amy9989, and she stated that there's no way to prove if a student actually identifies as the opposite sex or if they are lying just to kind of get what they want. And she also says that this could open up more opportunities for teen sex, which could lead to more teen pregnancy in the United States, which could also lead to more abortions. So if you're pro-life, you could see why this is kind of a problem, or it could be a problem. And another article I read that says transgenderism is child abuse, and how, you might ask. According to tfpstudentaction.org, it says conditioning children into believing a lifetime of chemical and surgical impersonation of the opposite sex is normal and helpful is considered child abuse. I also read an article, and the author was Walter Hayer, and he says a Detroit man named Erica got surgery and got all these hormones pumped into him and actually converted to an Erica. So he was a father named Eric, and now he's a mother named Erica. And he actually got his son and made him a transgender to a female. And he was about 10 years old, so he really didn't have any choice. And I think that's kind of messed up, in my opinion, and kind of furthers my point into the kind of child abuse, because I kind of see that as child abuse, where the child had no control over what the parent was doing to him, and like I said, really kind of ruined his life. In conclusion, I don't think that transgender students should be able to choose which restroom to use just because they identify as the opposite sex or whatever. And I don't think they should even be able to choose to be transgender at that young of an age, because, like I said earlier about the gender-confused boy, like, treat them with therapy and kind of just, I don't know, don't pump all these hormones and all these suppressants and stuff into them, because that can actually ruin the systems of the children. I guess that's all I got on this subject, so thank you for your time. There's my audience.